Hello everybody and welcome to Feel Better Eating. This is a whole food, plant-based experience. My name is Joshua Stanier and I'll be joined by my wonderful wife and co-host Catherine. And today, as usual, we have an absolute banger of a recipe that we're very excited to share with you, our live audience here at the Grace Learning Centre and the millions watching the recording on YouTube. So Catherine, what's on the menu today?
So today we're making a creamy vegan grain-free spaghetti raw vegetable dish. And I love this dish. I'm very excited to make it because when you make it, it feels fancy. It's got the pesto, which makes a fancy bougie vibe, and it's a perfect dish for making at home for a date night. If you prepare something like this for a date, that would be very impressed, I would believe. Another reason we love this dish is because it's basically all raw. The sauce is going to be raw, the vegetables we're putting on top of it's going to be raw. The only cooked portion is the grain-free noodles. And the reason that we choose grain-free, we'll get into that soon.
So we've got a hungry crowd. I'm going to get to cooking. I'm going to put these noodles on. I've boiled some water over here. Very simple. They take like 11 minutes. Very easy to cook. And while I do that, Kate is going to talk to you about the benefits of grain-free. Go for it.
So the reason that we choose grain-free, I've been grain-free and gluten-free for several years now. I was considered a pastatarian growing up. I ate pasta all the time and I ate wheat all the time. I never had any issues with it whatsoever. And then in my early 20s, I started to have a lot of skin and gut issues, and it was brought to my attention that gluten may be causing this. So I cut gluten out and was feeling better. And then I went to eat gluten again, thinking that I was gonna be okay. And I wasn't. I felt horrible. I was like, okay, so I clearly have an intolerance for gluten, but I wouldn't have known it until I stopped. Because what I found is that our bodies normalize to pain. They normalize to what we do to it. So if I was just keep eating gluten, it was normalizing to that. But once I stopped and then did it again, my body was like, no, don't do this again. I don't want this. So the reason that I ended up struggling with gluten, and a lot of people struggle with wheat and gluten products, is because the modern day flour, the all-purpose flour, is bleached and it's stripped of all of its nutrients. It's mainly just a filler that they put in to make things thick and to make breads and make it fluff, but it's essentially a substance that your body can't process. When your body doesn't know how to process a substance, it puts a lot more effort and energy into digesting it, and so you feel more tired, your focus isn't as sharp. All of these things are being impacted when you eat products that your body doesn't know what to do with. So that is why we do grain-free. And another really great part about grain-free is that the noodles are higher in protein. So if you get a grain-free noodle that's made out of garbanzo beans or lentils, it will have a lot more protein.
This happened to me on Sunday. We got gifted a celebratory plant-based roast from a friend. And I was like very excited to eat. Kate told me that it had some wheat in it, which is gluten, and I thought, one meal's not gonna hurt. So we ate it and it was pretty good. I quite enjoyed it, and then for like probably the next 6 hours, my stomach was in knots. I was kind of like sweating a lot and I was like just not feeling very good, and it lasted like 2 days. It was pretty unbelievable. So for me, wheat is off the menu. And I highly recommend testing, because as Kate said, you just don't know, and I didn't know that I was so intolerant until I ate it again. I'd probably been off it a few weeks and I was like, whoa, this is
more than a few weeks.
More than a few weeks, but this is not the one for me. So we've got those noodles on there, they're boiling away nicely, and as normal, we're gonna fill up a carafe. Wonderful word, isn't it, carafe, of all of the ingredients. And first up, we have our old friend, Mr. Hass Avocado, flown in directly from Mexico for today's show. Say welcome to avocados. I'm going to cut this up. Kate, tell us about the benefits of avocado.
So the reason we're including the avocado, this is where the creamy portion of the sauce comes into it. Avocados are full of fat, high in calories. It also has a host of other benefits. The vitamin E in it is anti-inflammatory. It's got fiber that helps with digestion. So those are some of the benefits, but mainly just think about it as I put this in my sauce, it makes it creamy. Joshua's gonna scoop that in.
Scoop it in. We love avocados, don't we?
Yeah, we try to eat avocados every single day in one way or another. If it's in a dressing, if it's in a sauce, or just on the side.
And if you're not too keen on the taste of avocado, if you put it in sauces like this, you don't really taste it. It just comes out thick, and we like it thick. So we'll get it in there. And then next up, the next ingredient is, I'm gonna put in some soaked cashews, and these can be soaked overnight for up to 8 hours. We actually low boiled these. If you don't have the time like we didn't this morning, you can just slow boil them. And what that does, they do have a small amount of phytic acid within them. So if you soak them or low boil them, you're gonna reduce that to pretty much 0. And on top of that, this is gonna add again to that soft, creamy texture that we're looking for in this pasta. More protein, more fat, more satiation. And it just tastes real good. This is probably my favorite part of this dish. So how many cups is this? Do you want to tell them?
Yeah, we're putting 1 cup of soaked in.
That might be more than a cup, but I don't see anybody checking.
Yeah, so the soaked and the boiling softens the cashews so they blend easier in adding to the creaminess of the sauce. Okay, so then next we have the fresh basil leaves. I'm very excited about the basil leaves that we're adding today because they are fresh from the garden outside of the Grace Learning Center. So these are garden fresh. Oh man, it smells so good. I'm glad to be adding this. So you want to add about 2 cups full. The cup is over there, but I'm just gonna wing it. I'm gonna just throw it in. They had
make
so
your own
much
ratios on this show.
Yeah, because it's all, I mean, when you make sauce, it is all about your flavor preferences. If you want more basil, you want more garlic, I'm usually like more. So I can get a bit out of hand with the seasonings, but.
Well, tell us about the benefits of basil.
So,
other than the way you pronounce it as basil.
You pronounce it as basil.
That's the name.
Oh, so basil, like all herbs, has inherent health benefits to it. Basil is anti-inflammatory, it's anti-cancer, it helps in diabetes management. But the best part about basil is that it gives you a euphoric feeling. It reduces stress, it reduces sadness. So when you're about to have a date night and you have a basil-filled dish and they're eating it, you're like, letting loose, you're enjoying the time, you're letting things go, and you're making the date night all that it can be by enjoying some basil and releasing the stress.
Which is what we're all about on date night, is loosening things up. Next up, we've got fresh garlic cloves. These are a superfood in their own right. And if you look at all of our recipes, we have fresh garlic in 95% of them, mainly because we love the taste, but this is just so good for you. It's antibacterial, it helps lower blood pressure, helps fight against common colds, your immune system's strengthened, all sorts of benefits. And again, date night, you're gonna have that garlic breath, you're not gonna be going out, but if you've both got it,
you just kind of deal with it.
No complaints, you know what I'm saying? So we're gonna go for we're gonna start off with 3 cloves here, I believe. We'll start off with 3, and again, you can add to taste. Sometimes we'll put 9 in, sometimes 10, but should we do 3 or 4?
3.
All right, we'll do 3.
Go for
So
it.
that's garlic. Next up.
Next, we're just gonna add some lemon juice. This is just an acidity factor that you add in to contrast the creaminess, the garlic, the basil. So it's just about 1 tablespoon of that.
Yep.
You can use this concentrate, or you could get it fresh. Oh, is it going
Squeezing
everywhere?
all over the table.
Oh man. We love making a mess here.
Yeah.
You gotta make a mess in the
This is
kitchen.
real kitchen cooking.
Yeah.
Next ingredient, this is the plant-based chef's secret weapon, in my opinion. The first time I was plant-based, I didn't know what this was. This is nutritional yeast. And Kate introduced me to this. It's really magical because you add this and it's going to give it a cheesy flavor, which is hard to imagine considering there's no cheese in it, but it really does taste cheesy. It also adds to that thick, creamy taste, and most importantly, it has a lot of B12 in. And when you're on a plant-based diet, a common deficiency is to be deficient in B12. This also happens on a non-plant-based diet now because of the way agriculture is, but you don't want to be deficient on B12. It's very important for regulating your energy levels and your brain function as well. So we're going to get 1/4 cup of nutritional yeast. We shorten it down to noosh because nobody's got time to say nutritional yeast multiple times a show, have they? So
Get the nooch in.
Get the noosh in. Bang that in there. Next up.
Okay, so to help it all blend, olive oil is an essential part to any basil dish that you make. And olive oil is one of those oils that is one of the best oils that you can buy and consume for yourself. Most of the time we use oil with cooking, and so because we don't want the food to stick to the pan. But when you cook oils at high temperatures for long periods of time, you actually damage the oils, and damaged oils in your body can cause more harm than good. So when we use olive oil, we resist cooking it. We put it with our sauces, we put it in our dressings, just raw, fresh as it is, because that's where it has the most nutritional and capability.
And I think of this like a car. I've used this analogy many times, but I think of myself as a machine, and if you were to put hot used oil in your car engine, you would imagine it to not have the best impact. Our bodies, at least from our perspective, are the same. You put in cold pressed, fresh, raw oil that's not being used for anything else, and it's going to add to that lubrication, which is, again, another date night positive aspect of this meal.
Yeah.
So that's the oil in there, and the last ingredient in the carafe
is salt. Real salt. Real salt is an essential nutrient. It helps with nutrient absorption, and it helps you regulate your electrolytes in your system. But all salts are not equal. Salts, table salts, or salt that you get from the restaurant can have additives, it can be heavily processed, and it can actually tear your arteries. And that's where cholesterol comes into it, because cholesterol is a defense mechanism to try to repair the cuts in your arteries. And so when you have real salt, like sea salt that comes from the sea, or you have something that's called Redmond's real salt. It's from the Utah Flat Plains. It's real mineral salt. It's providing those benefits for you, and when you consume it regularly, you can tell the difference.
Yeah.
So this is why we crave salt, because it is essential. So we just highly recommend that you invest in a sea salt or in a Redmond's real salt.
Yeah.
So we're gonna add.
Again, you can salt to flavor. We add a good amount of salt, of this salt, into most of our sauces, because as Kate said, it's got a lot of benefits. And that's it, all in that carafe there. And when I hear all of those health benefits, it's a little bit hilarious to me how many there are. It almost seems a bit too good to be true. And there are also almost no downsides to any of these. There's no like adverse side effects that we have to give disclaimers for. And if we're being honest, we handpicked those health benefits. There's actually more for each ingredient. It's just if we were to reel them all off, we'd be here till middle of the afternoon and everybody would be asleep. But to me, seeing all of that in that one carafe makes this very much like a medicine to me. And a part of this show is to encourage you to think of food as a medicine. You know, this is going to heal so many aspects of your body, and if you can think of it that way, you put more intention, and you're just going to upgrade your intake of food. So that's a big jar of medicine, in my opinion, and we're going to get that blended. The noodles are done, and then we're going to put this dish together.
All
right.
right.
Have a short blending break.
So just to finish the dish, we're going to talk about the raw veggies that go on top of it. Oh,
Yep.
You were ready to pour the sauce on.
No, I was just showing the finished
Oh,
product.
it looks great, honey.
Came back
Thank
from
you for all of
break.
your help. Okay, so the fresh vegetables that we're putting on top of it are peas. You can buy peas frozen or in a can. We prefer the frozen version, and if you are going to get it from a can, make sure that you read the back of the can and it just says water and peas, because they can throw a bunch of random things
preservatives
into cans of food. We're also going to add quartered cherry tomatoes, and we're going to be adding bell pepper as well, thinly sliced.
Yep.
So we add peas because it's kind of like that carbonara feel. It's a good contrast with the green. Well, it's not a contrast with the green. It facilitates the green, and it adds more protein to the dish. And then why do we add tomatoes, Joshua?
Tomatoes and basil together, match made in heaven. We're all about date night in this recipe, so put 2 and 2 together, date night made in heaven. It's
Yeah, you can use that as a pickup line. You're like, oh, basil and tomato, match made in heaven, just like us.
Built into the recipe.
So sweet. And then the yellow pepper is a very sweet contrasting crunch to add to it that's going to be like unexpected and add like a different layer element of this dish. Not everyone knows what we mean in terms of quartering cherry tomatoes and thinly slicing, so we're just going to do a quick demonstration of that.
And this is actually a fillet knife or a fillet knife for the American crowd. I obviously don't eat fish anymore, so this was not getting used, so I thought I'd try it in the kitchen, and I've been obsessed with it.
Yeah,
it's very accurate, kind of like it's got a good flex in it, so it helps with the accuracy of cutting vegetables, and I've been doing that a lot. So just cut them into like that, and then just in half. Super easy. 1, flip, 2, and then in half again.
So that's more of a, it's
like an 1/8 really.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's not quartering, but it looks better that way. So I like the way that you did it.
Maths. Yeah. And then for the peppers, this is why I like this knife specifically. If you've got a really thick, non-flexible knife, it can be hard to get it like super close, because this will just cut it straight off from the edges like that.
Wow, beautiful.
And Kate really likes things, especially the fresh veg sliced like this, so
yeah,
being able to do it with a flexible tip really helps a lot.
Because you don't want just like a random big chunk of bell pepper. You want it to intermingle and be at the same width of the noodles that you've got playing on in it.
So these, the noodles, have come out really good. They smell really good as well. So get that spatula in. Oh yeah.
Definitely thick and creamy, just like we said it would be.
Yeah. No false advertising.
No. I like mine really saucy. You can decide how much sauce you want on yours when you're making it at home.
Personalize everything, really.
That's what we're about.
I'll move this off here.
Okay, look at some peas in it.
Oh yeah. It's looking good, that. Get those peppers in there. And you can also garnish this with more fresh basil if you so wish. Again, it's all to taste. We'll probably put a couple of... Do you want to mix that up and I'll dice a couple of these?
Sure.
Ooh. Maybe not all of that. We have to drop something. All the way to the end, but we've got to drop something. And then we'll just slice this up.
Mixing it up. It's the hardest part, especially with spaghetti.
Yeah, and you can do the mixing aspect in the
pot.
In the pot that you boiled the spaghetti in. If you're doing this for like more than 2 people, 4 people, the mixing part, you just put all the ingredients in and mix it around. But for the sake of this show, we've done it in one bowl. There you have it. That looks good.
Okay.
And then garnish it with this fresh on the top.
Go for it.
Oh yeah. Great.
There you go.
That maybe took, what, 18 minutes? And that was with us explaining the whole thing. If you want to get this cooked quickly at home, you can get it done in under 10. Easy. Super fast meal. It's really tasty. We're excited to share it with you. We very much appreciate you being here, listening to what we have to say. We love talking about plant-based recipes and the health benefits, and just opening the door for you to maybe try this. We're not saying it is the diet for everybody, but to experience it is pretty life-changing for some people, especially for us. So thank you for being here. Catherine, what else have we been working on that you wanted to talk about?
So we have created a 3-day raw challenge. So if you're interested in taking the responsibility or coming to the challenge and being like, I want to try to eat raw for 3 days, we've created this challenge that you can get a mini book, you get recipes, you get a shopping list. And if you're interested in that, you can sign up for that on our website at staniers.com, STANIERS.com.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Let's
continue to feel better eating. The crowd is hungry. We're going to feed them. Really appreciate being here. Much
Thank you
love,
for
everybody.
watching, everyone.
Peace.
Bye.
A big thank you to all of our show sponsors and supporters who make this show possible. The Healthcare Foundation of LaPorte, Grace Learning Centre, Citizens Concern for the Homeless, and ALCO, Access LaPorte County. We appreciate all of your support.